I'm Michael Weatherly.
And I'm Cody DePablo.
And this is Off Duty.
Off Duty.
Can we ever do it right?
It.
Well, it was close enough.
It was really close.
Welcome to Off Duty, an NCIS Rewatch podcast. Today on the show, Season 3, Episode 14, Light Sleeper. 2 Korean wives of Marine sergeants die in execution-style shootings while the NCIS investigates a third such wife disappears. The team find the wife and then identify the shooter. Now, for context, at the time of this episode's release on January 24th, 2006, another case of mad cow disease was confirmed in Mark Harmon's trailer. No, in Canada. Ford announced plans to close 14 plants and cut up to 30,000 jobs. Kobe Bryant scored 81 points against the Toronto Raptors, the second highest in NBA history, and that is incredible, Cody.
Yeah.
Do you know who Kobe Bryant played for?
Oh, are you kidding me? Yes.
Okay. British diplomats were accused of spying on Russia using a fake rock.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? Because we did talk about Kobe Bryant. And do you remember the moment in your life, like where you were when you found out Kobe Bryant passed? Because I remember clearly, it was such a moment.
Yeah.
And it was such like, I remember it was like breaking news and like somebody grabbed their phone and it was like, oh my God. And it was just such a devastating thing.
I think I was making bull. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what was happening. I
think it was a weekend. I think it was a weekend.
It was a weekend. I remember when Michael Jackson died because Jesse Stern, writer, producer extraordinaire of Jesse Stern. Hey, we should have him on the show. Jesse
we should
Stern
definitely have him. Note.
Walks into my house in the Hollywood Hills and he goes, "Hey, dude, Michael Jackson just died."
Oh,
in
wow.
that Jesse Stern voice. He was like,
you know
"Hey,
where
dude,
I was?
Michael Jackson just died."
Well,
Weird.
by the way, that's like a lot of feeling because the way Jesse Stern would say it would be exactly like that. And within that statement and within that intonation, there's
So
a lot
much.
there's
So
to
much.
mention that. Believe it or not, like that, there's a lot of stuff. I was in Colombia, Bogota.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last 2 words.
Bogota, Colombia. Let me
You
just
mean
make
Colombia,
sure that
Bogota?
I translated Colombia, Bogota.
Put it into
Bogota,
American
Colombia.
for me. I'm a Denozo.
Oh God, yes. So I was in Bogota, Colombia. And let me finish with a question mark.
Oh my God.
And I was there and I remember just being like, another moment that I remember clearly in my mind where I was when that news came out. It was pretty
And
incredible.
Prince. I remember Prince as well.
Oh.
And David Bowie. I mean, gosh, there's so many.
So
people
many
like
good
that.
ones. So
I know,
many
now
really
I'm getting bummed
fantastic
out.
people. What is the episode synopsis?
Light Sleeper is about 2 Marine wives, both Korean immigrants, who are found gunned down in a house. NCIS searches for the killer. They discover that the one remaining woman and the 2 victims are part of a sleeper cell, hence the title, with links to North Korea. But really, this episode is about the fun stuff.
Right. Do you remember much about shooting this episode or the fun scenes that we did?
In this episode, we are treated to another one of my Sean Connery impressions.
You could be here for decades before being activated.
So tell us, Jane Bond, how do we track you down, huh?
How many do you think I did over the whole
Oh God,
series?
I think you did so many. I just completely lost count.
I think I did like 30 of them, and they're not good. And I remember the first time I did it, there was silence on the set because they were like, "Ooh, you should not do that."
But then they kind of grew into really fantastic.
Listen, there's very little I can tell you about Mr. Connery, huh? But I did it like, and I think somebody thought I was making fun of Mark Harmon's movie Presidio that he did with Sean Connery and Meg Ryan. Yeah, because everyone, in the beginning of a thing, everyone's so super sensitive and everyone's worried about like, ooh, don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. I don't know
But
how
why would
you...
anyone put two and I mean, I don't understand where that thought goes. Why would it go back to like...
Well, because I guess people were interpreting...
Because you were misbehaving.
Misbehaving. I was making stuff up.
Because you're always misbehaving.
It's Gibbs with a baby in this episode that really makes it all kind of come together, right?
Boss, this is Mrs. Dawson. She found the body.
Oh, Oh my God. Isn't it great? That's a really great moment. I remember.
And you believe that Mark Harmon's held a baby.
You believe that he's held a baby, and you believe that he's like really good with them. Like you see it.
Yeah.
And, again, we talk a little bit about, we don't go into it, but you get a little insight onto what Gibbs was like as a dad, and how the moment that he sort of plugs into that memory, what it does to him, and how it changes him from like investigator and he goes into father mode, maybe possibly husband mode, and how he needs to, in a way, step into the shoes of that man that he used to be in order to do the right thing in that moment. Like he puts himself in people's shoes and he does what he thinks it's right. And this is another one of those really fascinating episodes where it is not the right thing to do, but somehow there's a way in which you justify the wrong thing because it is absolutely the right thing to do, which there's a lot of on NCIS.
Yeah, it's a gray world. And do you spell gray with an A or an E?
Right.
The word gray itself is a gray area.
Okay. On that note, we have an amazing guest today that I never thought would come by. And I remember at the beginning when people used to say, oh, this guy, he really wants to be a part of the show. And I'd be like, really? And they were like, yeah, he actually wants to be a dead body. And I was like, wait, who? Real? And anyway, this is Mr. Jon Cryer, and he's a terrific actor. And he came by our set and played around on NCIS.
Oh my God. Jon Cryer's the guest today?
Oh, come on.
I know. I was trying to do like that smart list thing. That's the surprise guest.
It was a good moment, though.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's roll into a Jon Cryer interview.
Agent Gibbs, I am Dr. Taft. Welcome to the USS Daniel Webster Surgical Ward, where the elite beat the desert heat and cheat the occasional IED. Time to dance, Agent Gibbs. Mind if I lead? I'm a surgical mouth breather. The mountain came to Muhammad. I know you dig the sporty gown, Gibbs. There's no need to keep pulling stunts like this to get one. What a lovely brunch. Very healthy. Everywhere a man can be scanned. You're humming like a turbojet. Yes. Good morning to you, too. Everybody's afraid of something.
That would be just Ducky.
I am so excited to see you, Jon Cryer.
And you, Michael Weatherly. And
Hi.
you. Hey,
How
Cody
are you,
DePablo.
Jon Cryer?
I am very well. We never met because we were not on an episode together.
No, we never. And I can't believe I missed it because it's so weird. Mark Harmon used to always say, hey, do you know that Jon Cryer, he likes the show and he'd like to be like a dead body? And we used to always go, literally, I used to be like, who'd want to do that? And then he would say something like, well, you'd be surprised. And then I thought, I'd like to meet that guy one day.
He sounds like a weirdo.
He sounds like the perfect kind of guest.
I used to actually corner you guys at CBS functions because 2.5 Men and NCIS started literally the same season.
That's right.
And so I loved the show from the jump. And so I would corner you poor unfortunate beings at these CBS parties with a drink in my hand saying, I gotta be a dead body. I want to die entertainingly in the first 5 minutes of the show and then just be on the slab for the rest of it.
But may I ask you why you thought the show was entertaining, or what was it about NCIS that made you, I don't know, it's funny. We made the show and of course we liked it for our own very specific reasons. But in the realm of procedurals, I was always fascinated by the kind of people that were drawn to it. And, somebody like you, by the way, who I grew up watching, for you to say like, oh, I'd love to be on that show. I don't care if I'm a dead body. Like, I was like, wait, what? There was something about it that kind of blew my mind. What was it about the show that you were like, you know what? I want to be in it. Was it entertaining? What was it?
It's not that I didn't care if I was a dead body. I actively was asking to be a dead body.
You're like, let me specify.
No, it was mostly, I wanted to do that mostly because I was doing 2.5 Men and I just, that was the only thing I would have time to get out for, to do on your show at that time. So that was my thinking at the time. But no, mostly I love the show because the characters. I thought that it was, that procedurals can, they're procedurals, and that's what's great about them is you get hooked into the crime. But NCIS had this really fun, light
almost screwball comedy aspect to it that I thought really transcended the genre. So I also am a big fan of like old school TV styles and formats being done really well. Because I mean, anybody can do an old format, but when you do it well and have some new style that you're adding to it, I'm a huge fan.
My theory on that, John, is that Don Belisario, who back in the 70s, he came out of advertising, and when he started making television like Baba, Black Sheep Squadron with Robert Conrad, James Whitmore Jr., and also worked on Battlestar Galactica as a writer, Glenn Larson. And so he co-produced and co-wrote and made the Magnum PI pilot with Glenn Larson, and that was really the first time that Don Belisario, and then Tales of the Gold Monkey and Quantum Leap and Jag and all the stuff that Don went on to do. But Don is, like what you're talking about, he's really a guy who makes that indestructible old-fashioned television that's just like the minute you finish an episode, you're like, I could watch that again. Yep. I'm ready to go for some more Rockford Files.
Yes, exactly. And Rockford Files, again, the sense of humor that was infused in that show was really, really important. And NCIS absolutely had that. And eventually, though, like when I did end up getting to do an actual character on the show, it was really fun because mostly because I got to save Mark Harmon's life.
More than one. So you're doubly blessed, which works for me. See, I hate to make threats, but I am about to do everything in my power to make sure you see those X's again.
So my big pitch was that I would come back anytime he was in a horrible jam, anytime like some assailant had the drop on him. You would just hear a gunshot ring out, the assailant would drop, and I would emerge from somewhere and say, "How many times have I got to save your life, Gibbs?"
So basically, what you were pitching is to be another Gibbs. You were the hero.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I also figured out the Gibbs tricks, which is that they would give me these enormous monologues, and then his reply would be like, "Yeah."
Oh my God, you caught on early enough. We used to always say that. We used to be like, oh my God, and we had all of the exposition. Actually, to be fair, Michael had most of the exposition.
Yes.
And he made it look so effortlessly perfect.
Yes.
You and Sean really did do so much of that. I remember early on, I would say to the writers, I was like, look, my forte is emotional stuff. Give me all of the breakdowns. Give me all of the shit in the elevators. Give me like all of the emotional stuff. I'll do it. Or remove all of the emotion and give me guns and give me fight sequences. But it's like, these guys are really good at it, And it was the thing about the show that, look, we all still had to do it and we all probably did it well enough to sell it, right? But it was the thing that today, when I look at the show, many, many years later, I go, holy crap, that's a load. that's a load of text.
Well, but you also had a load of kicking people and a lot of, guns drawn, clear, shit like that. That was very impressive. I thought, I can't get away with that. That is not my forte. People just giggle when I kick them. So that was never going to be my area on the show, but it was truly, like I said, for me, having enjoyed the show, literally, I wasn't on till the 13th season because that was when Two and a Half Men was over. So for me, it was like the end of a journey for me to finally be on the show. And it was genuinely a thrill.
I'm going to go into a little bit of a cliche, which sometimes we do here when we talk to people that have gone through the show but I want to know, just from sort of from an actor standpoint, how did you get started? Like, when did the acting bug bite you, and how did you pursue it? And these are genuine things that I don't know about you, and I'd love to sort of hear them from you.
Oh gosh, I was probably around 12 years old when I started to I was incredibly uncomfortable with myself. I was, I sort of have this stutter that I still have to this day, sort of some vocal tics, and never felt comfortable in social situations until I started acting in junior high school. I started doing little shows here and there, and then I went to theater camp which was, as if you've seen the movie Theater Camp, it's a wonderful portrayal. There's also an older movie called Camp that was actually shot at the theater camp I used to go to. It was really a way to get me out of my shell. My parents were also in it.
Both your parents were actors. I was just going to say, right? So you grew up in a family where that was, and not just actors, but like writers and, very invested, creative people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was immersed in the theater. My dad was in a show called The Fantastics off Broadway.
Oh my God. What did he play? The only role.
El Gallo.
Of course, the only role.
And he and literally he had a show the night I was born. He had to, like, his understudy had to go on the night I was born. I was born at 8:15 on a Friday night.
So wait 1 second. Are you telling me that your father had the great big luxury of being there at his own son's birth, while working as an
Yes.
actor? Because
Yep.
it's like the thing that Michael and I talk about all the time. It's like, did you have the luxury of being there for the birth of your son? Because sometimes it's like, it's
Sometimes
crazy.
on location. Sometimes
you just can't do it.
Sometimes this job is that way. He did, and
Kudos to your dad.
I agree. Yes, I grew up in New York City in the theater. I was always backstage at shows that my mom was in and that my father was in. So I always felt, and they always had artists around the house. Michael, as you were saying, there was always writers in the house and playwrights and actors. And, I remember once I came in, I opened my front door and Mom was holding a play reading and Al Pacino was in my living room. And I was like, oh, hey. And I just kept walking through. I didn't know what to say. I don't know what you say in those things. So I was always around it. So that made it obviously a lot. I was, the idea of a sort of Nepo baby has been sort of bandied around a lot lately. And I realized to some degree I absolutely had the advantage of just being culturally in the theater. I knew people. My parents never gave me a job, which is sort of what why people bristle at the idea of nepotism. It's like some wealthy business person giving their kid a job that they don't deserve. That's kind of the cliche of nepotism. But I did, but I was around the theater. I was in it. I did have the advantage of, when I was 18, my mom literally ran into a friend of hers on the street who was an understudy in Torch Song Trilogy. And he said, oh, you should audition for Torch Song Trilogy. And so I did. And I got it.
I was just going to say, I read this quote of yours that I wanted to tell you about and see what you think about it now. It's always nice when people throw quotes at
Yes.
I think that's what you were looking at, right? When you were like, I think you were like doing something and you were like, let me look for the quote so I don't ruin it. Let me just do it verbatim.
I really connected with this, John, because, well, I'll give you the quote and then we'll talk about it. And I know Cody will have lots to say too. Trust your instincts. When you're in a show that's fighting for survival every week, you stop trusting your instincts because you think my instincts haven't worked so far. But when people clearly like the show and are watching it in great numbers, and I think you're talking about 2.5 Men, it takes a huge amount of pressure off you. And then you realize, I can trust my instincts. I think that's so interesting to go back to your nepotism discussion as well, because I didn't know anyone in show business. When I dropped out of college and slept on my friend's couch at NYU, I didn't know anyone who was an actor. I'd never met anyone who was an actor or writer or director. And so ignorance was bliss. I just went diving into, I was like, why not? And that carried me through, arguably to this day. But for you, with parents who clearly love their child and want to protect their child from rejection and from all the sort of stuff I had no concept about, how you get roughed up by productions and they don't give a shit about, whether you have a flu or your, marriage is in trouble and you're trying to keep it together, or your kid has some learning disability that you have to be there for they don't care. John, your call time is 7 a.m. and we're shooting so when you have, I would imagine, did your parents ever pull you aside, first of all, and say, this is really hard and are you sure you want to do this? Or were they just like, dude, it's a great ride. Have fun.
No, the great ride conversation did not occur. No, my parents were always wary. Like when I announced that I wanted to go to theater camp, and that meant my mom was going to have to pay the exorbitant fees to go to theater camp. She just sort of said, "Oh, okay." I think the writing was on the wall at that point. But it's interesting because she was clearly concerned about it all through when I got my first job. But when I got fired and she saw how it drove me, and instead of me sort of lapsing into despair, it made me much more focused and wanting to work hard. That's when she was like, "Oh, okay, he'll be fine in this."
That balance between trusting your instincts, which you innately conjure either through learned defense mechanisms because of a traumatic childhood, or because you just have a funny bone, but trying to balance that immediacy of humor and those instincts with tradecraft and the mechanics of acting and understanding, not just where to stand on the stage, but also, like the director said, are you off book? You got to know the lines. I've always struggled with that part. But how do you find that? And when you think about that, what you said about that idea of trusting your instincts, and when that came back to you with 2.5 Men.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you guys have experienced this as well. You have things that really resonate with the public, that the public goes, "Ah, that's great, we love that." And then we've all done stuff that are like crickets, and you're the same guy, you're the same person, same artist, throwing your energy at that for whatever reason. But for some reason, it didn't land with the audience. Who knows why? And so I had gone through this for me, because I got so lucky so quickly. I got Brighton Beach Memoirs and Torch Song Trilogy were both on Broadway at the same time, both originated by Matthew Broderick, who I resembled strongly at the time. So me getting hired, I mean, when I when I auditioned for Torch Song Trilogy, Harvey Fierstein was in the audience, and he literally went, when I came out on stage. I mean, that's just how he speaks in general. But at any rate, I had that. I mean, that was extraordinary luck to have those two roles that I could do early on, and then having Pretty in Pink be popular very early as well.
Oh, what a great movie.
Thank you. That's so kind of you to say. But it's funny because you get the false impression that you're firing on all cylinders, and you know everything as an artist. But it took me sort of doing a bunch of things that didn't resonate with people to go, oh, okay, let me step back and really question who I am. But so the nice thing about 2.5 Men was I regained my bearings. I sort of, and thankfully they have not deserted me, even though I've done stuff since then, some stuff that resonated, some stuff that didn't. I shot my favorite pilot ever that I've already done, and nope, didn't get picked up. Stuff like that happens, but I now have the luxury of trusting myself. And that was just because every week on Friday night I had to do a show, and every Friday night I had to make it work. And that just it sort of beat the fear out of me in a lot of respects.
Michael and I often talk about that, and it was the one thing that we've never really had a chance to. I can speak for myself, Michael. I don't know about you, but
I would like you to speak for me, please.
Well, I kind of do a little bit sometimes. I do apologize for that. But what you had is that kind of like very theater, reality, which is you get to be in front of an audience, you get to rehearse, and then you get to do it and put it together and see what happens, and feel that sort of palpable thing, see what sticks, see where you get the laughs, see what that very wonderful thing that you don't get from doing the hour, where you don't get to feel the pulse of like the human amoeba that's like looking at you and feeling it all out, and you're all moving in that same kind of way. And I've often thought, man, what a wonderful thing for an actor to be able to tackle. I do hope at some point in life I'm given the chance to do something like that, because it's the one thing that I think, wow, first of all, what a great schedule, right?
Yes. And it's the most fun you can have. I mean,
it's like
just
such
so
a fun thing,
Yeah. It's exhilarating. I don't know. Cody, you started in theater, obviously. You started, and Michael, did you start in theater, or did you just say, no, none of that theater crap. I'm heading straight to single camera, my friends.
I, in college, and I went to several different colleges and floated around. It was kind of like joining the Peace Corps, go to college, see the world. I went to college in Boston, San Francisco area, Washington, D.C., and Paris, France.
It's not supposed to work that way, Michael.
No,
You're supposed to.
And then I dropped out of college. And then I dropped out. That was the double indignity. But I did a lot of one-act plays. I did a musical, the Randy Newman musical, which was insane. And I love Randy Newman, so that was easy to jump into those songs and everything. But we did a play called The Slave at American University, and we burned an American flag in the theater.
Very popular, I'm sure.
In 1989. So we had police in the auditorium.
Wow.
And my character died at the end of the first act, and so I had to be on stage dead for the whole second act.
So you were a dead body. So you were a dead body.
You did it, see?
So I had that experience of the stage, but to answer the question, I did these at American University. They had a graduate film program, and they needed actors for the camera work that they were doing, and they were doing scene recreation. And so that was the first time that I was ever on camera, and I just fell in love with the it was like a laser focused energy that action. And I just thought that was so dramatic. And on stage, I always felt like I was moments away from fucking up to the point where I was going to have diarrhea and throw up at the same time. That's an image.
But by the way,
that's bad.
Didn't you?
Okay.
No. And by the way, didn't you go through that too, John? I mean, I think every single actor before they step on stage, they feel the same thing, Michael. So it's not, it's not.
Yeah, you're not alone.
It's not like you were in a very exclusive place,
No, I know.
It was the Michael Weatherly Club, it was.
No, I know. But I had this acting teacher, Leslie Kahn, who told me at one point when I was having trouble with auditions and also on camera, she said, we worked it out that I thought I was taking a test every time they said action or I went into an audition. And it was like pencils up, pencils down. And so I would get nervous and start sweating. And I had all those shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and I was in my head and self-conscious. And Leslie said, you have a secret. And when they say action, until they say cut, it's your secret world that you're showing everybody. I guess I was my own audience at that point, rather than auditioning for the casting director or even, I mean, I'm a clown and I like to amuse everybody on the set and everything. But ultimately, I was my first barrier. I was my first line of defense against being bad.
But by the way, isn't that like a universal thing? Because as you're saying that, and honestly, I haven't heard that story from you, and I've heard so many. But no, I mean, I've heard so many stories, But this particular thing, I didn't know. And as you're talking, I'm going, she released you. She released you from your own perception of you, right? And first, what a wonderful thing, but also who hasn't felt that? Like I felt that so many times. And usually when I don't feel that is when I really am sort of like just flowing, right? But there's so many times that you just, sometimes for whatever reason, external reasons, or, you get in your head and you start doing let me chew my brain off. And you can go into that realm of, which is, it's very common, and I think it's an anxious place, and you don't have to just direct it towards the world of acting. I mean, it happens to probably doctors and lawyers and everyone. Sure. Anyone who's doing anything.
And we talk about work-life balance, and to me, the natural extension of that is that you can become so obsessed with your work that when you get back to your apartment or your house or whatever, and you just stare at either an empty house or like Charlie Sheen, you fill it up with all sorts of bad ideas. I mean, it's like Hollywood, a tale oft told of like, you get off the set and you're still looking for that dopamine and you want to keep the party going. Like you want to keep the laughter going. But you found Lisa, right? And that I'm just curious about like how big a change in your life all of that was for your balance, because I know you were married before, and and as a father, and you guys are like great parents, and you've had sort of differing experiences as I have too, and it's not easy, but it does create. And Cody, now understands the world of it's so much more when you come home and there are people there that don't want to go and do an 8-ball of Coke with you and drink some Jack Daniels and go, it's like,
well, yeah, no.
Well, no, I'm not going to put it. I don't know what your
do an
home
8-ball
life
with
is.
me, but
I know you do have a 3D printer, and I don't know what you use that for.
For printing my 8-balls. No, that doesn't even work. No, it is, work-life balance has always been tough for me because work has always been such a huge part of my brain. That the home life has always been, yes, I've got another thing in my life, Lisa, what has been wonderful about Lisa is that Lisa started as an entertainment reporter out here, Lisa Joyner, for those of you who aren't up on who my spouse is, and that she totally gets the business without being actually a part of it. Is a big deal. And what she and I decided to do after 2.5 Minutes was we were going to produce stuff together, which has actually been amazingly fun. And it's kept us constantly engaged with each other, constantly having conversations where we're reassessing who we are and what we want to do, what we want to say in terms of art and stuff like that. And it's also, she's just, as you know, an incredibly fun person to be around. And that has made it so that, I need to prioritize that. Instead of constantly keeping my mind engaged on the work that I'm looking to do.
What about like persona Jon Cryer, like Jon Cryer in quotation marks, the avatar Jon Cryer? Because I would assume in the 80s when you got that first blast of fame and notoriety, and that's what people don't realize now is that everyone saw that movie that summer. Right. It was like it wasn't like a viral video that people who don't have TikTok will never see. It was part of the firmament of the culture and stayed that way. And that can really, mess you up pretty hard. It's messed up a lot of people.
That's not what you were going to say, by the way. I saw your lips go.
I'm wondering, did you create a kind of persona, John, that could deal with the interviews and meeting people in restaurants and everyone, the story of like teenage girls calling your parents' house to leave messages?
Yes.
And
that was crazy.
Did you create a John, like I'm friends with comedians and they have their comic persona and sort of the guy they are. And it's really hard for them to take that guy off when they get home.
Yeah.
And so when you meet Tim Allen in person, he's very different than quote Tim Allen, unquote,
Yeah.
And I was just wondering about how, because Lisa meets a lot of the quotation marks, people through entertainment journalism. Did she meet that Jon Cryer first, or did she actually see around the curtain?
We actually met at the Television Critics Association thing. So she actually interviewed me at the Television Critics Association, and I thought she was amazing and hilarious and super hot, frankly. And she thought I was fun. But interestingly, she used to do red carpets all the time, and she knew I was a good talker. So she started like waving me over all the time whenever she'd see me.
And you were like, there's that hot box. Let me go over there.
Exactly. Oh, she digs me. And no, what it was that I gave good sound bites. So it was a very transactional relationship for her. But interestingly, my mom taught me a lot about that. And the way my mom is a playwright and an actress and very well known in New York theater circles. And so when she walks down Broadway, she'll get stopped every couple of blocks or so by somebody who knows her or who loves her work, or and she was always incredibly grateful to have to meet people that her work resonated with. And I compare it to being sort of the mayor of a small town. Everybody feels they have a connection with you that's important and that you need to honor, frankly. And so whenever I meet people, I try to let them understand that my work connected with them is important to me, and thank you for, and I really appreciate that they took the time to enjoy what I do. It never meant crafting a persona per se. It just meant sort of honoring the experience of somebody making art that they hope people enjoy. I mean, I've made enough art that people haven't enjoyed that I like making the art that people do enjoy a whole lot more. And what's really fun, though, is when you find somebody who loves that piece of art that you thought was the most embarrassing thing you ever did.
Oh, doesn't that feel good? You're like, at least someone liked it.
It does. I did a movie called Superman 4, which was the last of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and it ran out of money halfway through. So the movie's a mess. If you watch the movie, they never finished the special effects. So they had to cut huge chunks out of the movie, and it doesn't make rational sense anymore. And I'm sad about it because I loved the Superman movies. I was 14 when Superman came out, and I was the demo of that movie. And so when people come up to me as embarrassed as and Superman 4, I'm not good in it, by the way. That was another thing that I'm kind of embarrassed about, was that I made a very strong character choice that in retrospect did not work. I
think we've all had those moments, by the way.
But it's I hide behind the artist, it's our job to fail thing, because I have accomplished that job then.
But let me ask you something, and this is a question that Michael and I always ask people, and we ask ourselves, did you fully commit to that choice?
I did fully commit to that choice. And people do come up to me and say, and even though that movie's a mess, absolutely, and there have been, one of my favorite episodes, there's a wonderful podcast called How Did This Get Made, which is just about enjoying awful movies, and they did a wonderful episode on it, and it's great because Natasha Lyonne was a guest on it, and I can hear her trying not to say that I'm really bad in the movie. I mean, she's doing like a superhuman effort not to say he's bad. God bless her. She's absolutely wonderful. But people do come up to me and say, you know what? When I saw it, I was a kid, and I loved it. Because I was, 8 or 9, and I don't want to ruin their experience by saying, oh, it's really bad, it's super bad, because it meant a lot to them,
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So, that is a fun experience when something that you felt like as an artist you didn't quite land correctly still has some resonance for people.
Well, there's another incredible thing in thinking about talking to you today that in looking at 2.5 Men, you start the show, it comes out of the box, it's great, but then you have cast issues, like Angus suddenly is like, it's like,
oh yeah, he was the crazy one on that. No, he would.
no, but I'm saying, but suddenly there was like, you were half a man down at a certain point. and then you were just another man down. And then Ashton came in, but it was really like one guy and a guy who replaced the other guy and the half a guy who's not here anymore.
That title is not as catchy as
it's
2.5 Men.
Right, I mean, it's sort of like two girls, a guy, and a pizza place. Wasn't Ryan Reynolds in a sitcom that was called,
I guested on that show, actually. Oh, and I had a very good learning experience on that show. I got a call from Danny Jacobson, the guy who was the showrunner on the show. He said, "You got to help me out, man. I had developed a show with him and J.J. Abrams many years before that didn't get picked up. But he said, you got to help me out. We've had an actor fall out of my show, two guys and a girl. And it's an important character that we've heard about all season, and we're finally going to meet him. It's just one episode. Could you come in, on short notice and do this? And, there's literally 2 days to shoot this then, because the first 3 days were spent working with the other guy. So I come in, and he's got to be this insufferable college professor. And so I used sort of this guy who I worked with in at a school I studied at. I won't say who, but he had this thing where he spoke like this all the time. And it drove me fucking batty.
And did he ever lose his shit or never?
No, he did not. And
that's what drove you crazy, because you always felt like you're like, this is a facade. It's a facade.
Exactly. And so I said, this is perfect, because you're supposed to hate this guy. He's a guy you've heard about all this time. He's involved with your actual cast member, and he's got to be disposable. He's got to be the wrong guy for her. And so I did that character for the things, and the writers loved it. Everybody saw it. It was hilarious. Ha ha, gales of laughter. We do it on show night, and halfway through the show, of the taping, in front of the audience is ha ha, laughing, having a great time. The network says it's all wrong. Jon Cryer cannot do that. That character feels too much like a sketch character. But everybody knows Jon Cryer's not really like that. So, and I was like, but I'm an actor. That's what we do. And they said, no, we've got to stop. He's got to stop doing that character. He's got to be regular Jon Cryer. And so I had to shoot the rest of the show not being that guy that I set up. And the audience was like, what is happening?
Right. That's the fear. That's the fear of the network and the studio
I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Well, that's just the fear of somebody going like, but we paid for Sean Connery with a wig. We don't want Sean Connery with no hair.
Yes.
And they're like, we paid for the Jon Cryer. We want the Jon Cryer.
Yeah. So I then had to stay after they let the audience go and reshoot all of the scenes I had shot with that other character. And I was crushed. I was absolutely crushed. I was so mad. It was ABC was the network that I was doing the show for. And I was just crushed, and I just cursed their name. I was like, ABC their name is mud now. And I just retained this anger, this burning hatred toward them for like years. And finally, years later, I got asked to do an audition for a show, but I was in the midst of just awful personal turmoil. I had a car accident, a bunch of stuff went wrong, and I showed up at the thing, and I realized, oh my God, this is I'm about to go on and read this thing, and it's an ABC show, and I hate these people, and they hate me. That hatred is mutual. And I did the read through, and I did the audition, and I got it, mostly because I had forgotten because because I'd had the car accident and all these other things, I had forgotten just for a moment that I hated these people and that they hated me, because they didn't hate me. That's the thing. It was completely a thing in my mind. They did not hate me. This was completely a narrative in my mind that was completely unnecessary. And I did the show for them. It ran for half a season, whatever. That kind of stuff happens. But no, they were fine with me. It was a thing where I came in, I had to take on the character. They didn't dig it. They asked me to reshoot it. I reshot it. Everybody was fine. Nobody died. And I made it into this huge psychodrama that was unnecessary.
Oh my God, it's so incredible how you just said the narrative. I've been, I feel like we could do a couple of shows just on that, like the narrative that we subject ourselves to, and the incredible damage that we do to ourselves by that, the infestation of those thoughts.
We didn't get into this because we don't like drama. We like drama. And so those narratives are really attractive to us because we like this, we like,
Jon Cryer, can I talk to you every week?
Sure. It's
I
the
feel
Jon
like,
Cryer
wait a
Rewatch
minute.
podcast.
This is a very therapeutic conversation on so many levels.
You guys are about to do a show, which I'm very excited about, by the way. the Tony and Ziva offshoot. And if Cyril Taft, if you ever need a heart surgeon, if you recall, I was a heart surgeon on the show. If anybody gets shot in the heart, or
You never know.
you the bad guy could have the drop on you, and you and then you hear a
you need a
gunshot
hero.
ring out,
You need
and
a
then he
hero.
drops, and I come in and I say, how many times have I got to? Oh wait, you're not Gibbs, or something like that.
You know what I think you should do? I don't think you should play Cyril Taft. I think you should come in as the professor who talks like this.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you an opportunity.
Oh, we'd love to
We're
have
going to
that
give you an
guy.
opportunity to
Hey, you
finally
guys.
have that performance and bring that guy to life.
Yes, he
And
could
put
be.
that narrative down.
Just kill it for
Just
good.
kill
Finally.
that
In the
narrative.
final moments of our conversation, are you a light sleeper?
Am I in fact a light sleeper? I am
Oh,
not.
Cherie, you're
I,
smart.
I pee a fair amount, but thankfully that wakes me up because I'm a gentleman of a certain age. I get the joy of walking to the bathroom several times in the course of an evening.
I have a sleep apnea machine now that
Great.
that my wife is very fond of.
Yes.
The white noise that also blows air up my nose. And it keeps
Yeah.
everything nice and balanced in the because she is a light sleeper. And we did this episode in season 3 called Light Sleeper.
Yes, I am aware of it.
I don't really know why that episode is called Light Sleeper.
Because they're sleeper agents. Because they're North Korean sleeper agents. Am I going to explain the whole show to you?
No, I
it's
guess
the naval.
that's-
It's the Naval Criminal Investigation Service. Okay, Jethro Gibbs. I'm gonna give you the whole background on the show.
Oh,
you see-
that's what
yes,
it is.
it was an episode where two Korean women are found shot, horribly dead. Horribly dead, as opposed to
So it was a beautifully dead.
wonderfully dead,
Beautifully dead.
And then it looks as though their friend who has a child shot them. But then it turns out they're all North Korean sleeper agents. Oh wait, did I give it away? That's the twist.
No, that you've just proven that you're like a real fan, which, by the
But
way,
this-
we
this-
like.
So I was thinking somewhere between Woody Allen's Sleeper and the Brad Pitt movie Sleepers with Robert De Niro. It's like I kept thinking, what am I missing? Oh, wait, and wasn't there? Hold on. I think there was a film, Light Sleeper, with Willem Dafoe and Dana Delaney in like 1980 or something.
Yes, which was just about him urinating many times in the evening.
The subtitle was "Enlarged Prostate." That was the in other countries. That's what it's called. Grande prostrato.
Yes, tell us from Brazil. Send us the poster of that movie from Brazil.
Now, have you got? It looks like you have a very professional studio there. Is that near where your 3D printing machine was downstairs?
It is actually. My 3D printing machine is maybe 8 feet away in the other room here. This was my wife and I used to record voiceovers a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
And she had to she used to host a show called Long Lost Family, and they and she'd be flying all over reuniting people with their long lost family members, which it was the sweetest show ever. But whenever she had to do post production, she would just do it from here in terms of re-recording her voiceover for that. And now I co-hosted a podcast for a while, and then I just have another podcast called Lawyers, Guns, and Money that just came out. About the Iran-Contra scandal, which was absolutely wild and often hilarious story. Sort of like if Scarface met the in-laws. If those two got mashed together. Absolutely bonkers true story. So that's why I've got the studio down here.
And so you are. You're on the edge of the future. We are the edge of tomorrow, I think was a Tom Cruise movie.
Cruise movie,
But
it was, yes.
you are in the you're in the forefront of the vanguard of technology out there, doing your podcasting and doing your
and my 3D printing at the same time. No, that's it's 3D
exploring
printers are
the
very
future.
By the way,
loud.
so different from this setup that's going on here in my
It's just
world.
a gray. You could be anywhere. You could be in
I think
Poland.
you can be any meme that anyone wants. They just can put a background on. It's like a green screen. It's a gray screen.
Well, no, you know what this is actually? Well, I'm sure people are like, I know what that is. This is the audition, like there. It's like it comes like in a circle.
Oh, yes.
And you open it and it's a backdrop to auditioning. And we got it during the pandemic. And it was wonderful because before this, we had to actually iron the gray sheet. Remember? Probably you guys don't. I was auditioning, I remember, during the pandemic and before that. And it was like you had to iron this gray sheet. And at one point, I was told that this was the way to go because it's always just perfectly crisp
Yes.
and gray.
Pristine.
And I thought, I wish I could sort of Michael Weatherly out and just have this like fantastic, warm,
Tropical-
cozy, like tropical
Yes.
oasis
well
around me.
lit. Very well lit. You've got multiple sources of lighting.
like
and
warm
wow.
lighting. I mean, look at him. He's
You look fantastic.
chocolate mocolada over there. Just like, ready.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Breakfast of champions out
Yes,
here
a
in
Cuba
Weatherland.
Libre.
Listen,
I'll join you with my water.
down here in Brazil, this is how we do it.
John, this has been such a pleasure.
The pleasure has been mine, you guys, and congrats on the show, and it's so exciting. And anytime I do love the show, so anytime there's going to be a time when like some like your Danny Bonaducci is your guest this week, and he fell out at the last minute. Let's call Cryer.
Well,
I'll be around.
And the mothership is still going, and you have a long heritage there as an established character. So you should do both when in between your extended family shooting schedule. But you'd have to fly all the way over to Budapest to come visit us. So 'cause
I
that's
can
where
do
we're.
that.
Which, by the way, wouldn't be bad.
No,
No, you and
Hungary's-
Lisa
Hungary's
jump on
lovely.
a plane. You and
Sure.
Lisa will love it. Come on.
Why not? Absolutely.
Will you please give her and from Boyana as well our absolute love, and we have been gone for 10 years now from California almost, and so it's been a long time since we've been in your wonderful
it has.
presence.
If you choose to come back, please let us know. And yes, best to Boyana as well. And I still see her on social media every now and then. I'm like, oh, she posted something.
She's very healthy, very healthy.
Yes, good.
She's not doing this.
Well, so lovely to talk to you again, and so lovely to actually finally meet you, Cody.
I know.
All right,
Yes.
well, mwah, big kiss to you, Mr.
Mwah.
Cryer.
Yes, to you as well.
Thank you, Mr. Cryer.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Game time. It's time for game time. Are you ready to play this game?
I think I am.
Okay, the name of this game is I Call BS. Cody and Michael take turns placing bids of how many of a selected item they think they can name in 30 seconds on the clock. When someone places a bid that the other person thinks is too high to manage, they call BS, and the first person has to list that many of that item. Best of 3 wins.
Okay, wait. I'm going to hate this. I'm
Yes,
just
I
going
know.
to say
That's
it.
why.
I'm going to
okay.
hate it. I'm going to hate
So
it.
here's the
because-
thing. We're placing bids of how many of a select item they think they can name in 30 seconds. For instance, how many NCIS characters can you name in 30 seconds on the clock? If somebody places, and you got to place your bid. You're like, I can name
I can
7
name 10,
NCIS.
10.
And then I have to try and either name 11 or I call BS.
Okay,
So
no.
I'm going to say 30 seconds. I want to hear you name 10 characters. I call BS. Name of the game.
Oh my God. I was
Okay,
like, let me just
hold
say,
on.
because I know
Let's
that
set
you'll
the
think
clock.
that I know 7.
Hold on. I'm setting my clock right now. Stopwatch.
30 seconds?
Here we go. And
Okay, fine.
go.
Abby Shudo, Ducky Mallard, Gibbs, Denozo, John Murray,
No, he's not a
Jenny
character. He's an
Shepherd.
actor.
No, okay, but you know who he is.
No.
Sean,
Who does Sean Murray play?
wait.
20,
and then this
22,
thing fell off. Rocky
23,
Carroll. Rocky
24.
Carroll. No, you're awful. You're
25.
getting into my anxiety.
Okay. I win. That's
I got a
30
lot.
seconds. I win. I win.
No, but how many did I get? I got like 8.
You got 5, and you were saying
did-
Sean Murray and Rocky Carroll. Those are not characters on the show.
6, 7,
Okay.
5, 6, 7. So I
Okay. Ziva-isms. The English bloopers.
God.
How many can you name? I can name 3.
BS. Go for it. 30
Okay.
seconds. 1 second.
30 seconds. Set the clock.
Wait,
Pork you
wait,
swine. Pork you swine.
Okay.
Does a bear sit in the woods?
I never said that.
You
Go.
did.
No, I never said that.
You said, does a bear sit in the woods? And McGee and I looked at each other.
Okay.
Okay. And
Time. Done.
that wasn't 30 seconds. You just wanted me to lose. I get it. All right. Now we got a tiebreaker.
Okay, we got time. Oh God, really? You're gonna go into that?
How many NCIS guest stars can you name?
I don't know. You
10.
go.
Scotty Thompson, Bob Newhart.
Okay, you're almost running out of time.
Jon Cryer.
Go.
Benny Goodman, Larry Miller,
That's 5.
Hank
You still have
Azaria,
many. Hank
Peter
Azaria.
Coyote, Roger Moore, Robert
Roger
Wagner.
Moore. Okay, you're a
and-
liar. Time. That's it. And on top of it, you lie.
All right. One of our most successful game times. You never know what's going to happen.
You just
I
never
call-
know. And sometimes
I call
you know
BS.
What? Sometimes I call BS, and at times you just gotta go with it, man. Just go with it.
I've got some fan questions I'd like to review right now with you, Cody DePablo. Frederick from a state called New Jersey says, a lot of dead body scenes in this episode. Wow. How long did those actors have to lie there, and how did they even get chosen for that job? Well, it's a great question. And what they started doing is bringing in actors and having them come into Mark Horowitz's office and close their eyes, because some people can't stop their eyes from moving when they close their eyes.
Wait 1 second. Come closer. You would have been cast.
Yes, because I'm dead inside. It's a simple,
Okay, okay.
it's a simple philosophical question. Carla Dean from Washington asks, Michael, I was watching this episode with Sean Murray when you said Mark Harmon used to leave the alarm clock whenever anyone was late. Where did that come from? Was it a Mark Harmon thing or an NCIS set thing? It was a Mark Harmon thing.
It was a Mark Harmon thing. I wasn't there when this was happening. This was season 1 and season 2. I heard about it, but it was more of a threat.
Yeah, you were
It was
going to
like-
get clocked.
Yeah, but it was also, I think the days of clocking people were long gone. I think this was like a new, like it was almost like a, hey, refresh. Let's press the refresh button and let's start over again. And so I think the anecdotes about the hanging clock became like this funny thing. But I think while they were happening, they were very real.
It was
to people.
terrifying.
It was, and
Okay.
so yeah.
Here's the last one. Matt from All My Exes Live in Texas.
Oh,
Hi,
wow.
guys. I've been rewatching NCIS week to week, and it's made me realize that I really miss this time in TV. That said, what do you think are the best and worst decades of TV? Okay.
Oh gosh.
Okay,
and that's
best
a
and
Michael
worst decades
Weatherly
of TV.
question. I would say the answer has to be late 70s and now, which is such a weird answer.
Because
Does that
for
make any sense
me,
to you?
for me, I loved Happy Days and the Hardy Boys and Battlestar Galactica version 1 original gangsta. So it's late 70s, early 80s, like Mork and Mindy. Was my absolutely favorite show. I mean,
Did you ever like Miami Vice?
yes, but I was already going to boarding school when that came out, so I didn't have access to a TV. One of the reasons that I connected with Don Belisario is that he made television like Baba Black Sheep Squadron with Robert Conrad, and Tales of the Gold Monkey was a show after he made Magnum PI, and I understood, and he wrote for Battlestar Galactica. So Don Belisario's words were in my head. I understood his pacing and so he made total sense to me. I knew where the jokes were. I knew where the serious was. And I knew you could put that right up against it because that's what Magnum PI was all about. This guy with a Detroit Tigers hat and a silly Hawaiian shirt with shorts that are too short, living on Robin Masters' estate with Zeus and Apollo, the Doberman Pinschers, and the red Ferrari and the Audi and the wine cellar.
So wait, 1 second, because you just said something about Don Belisario and it just jumped at me. It must have been such an epic thing for you to be cast in this show with Don Belisario writing it and him being such a force of nature shaping this character and asking you to give me more of what I saw Michael Weatherly when I met him. You know what I mean? Like, and so now that I understand your commitment, first of all, to TV of the 80s, and then not only that, but to specifically Mr. Belisario, that must have been an epic moment in your life, like a defining moment in your life.
Yes, I've had a few moments getting to meet Mr. Steven Spielberg. Extraordinary moment. Getting to sit and talk with him for quite some time, just the two of us. That was an outsized pleasure. And I got to meet Gary Oldman. That was another one of those extraordinary moments. James Cameron, pretty amazing, right?
Sure.
But Don Belisario and David Kelly and a lot of people, but Don really wrote, like, I would read the script and I could see what he wanted it to be.
Right.
And thank God for that, because now I live in a house. Gibbs' rule of the day is number 69. Don't read into it.
Even it.
Never trust a woman who doesn't trust her man. Oh, God. And of course, that's 69. Never trust a woman who doesn't.
Let's go into that and not into the obvious, which you're losing your marbles on. Never trust a woman who doesn't trust her man. What do you think that means?
I'm sure Gibbs means it in the most misogynistic way possible, but never trust a woman who doesn't trust her man. That's
yes,
trust.
That's it.
So if the way I read that is, if you're talking to someone and they're denigrating and down and sort of like, just like, ugh, my husband is such an idiot and he screws everything up and I don't know. I just don't know. I've never known. I've always doubted like why I married him and I don't know. Like that person is living. If she doesn't trust her man, that means she's living a lie and is comfortable living a lie. So don't trust a person who's comfortable living with a lie. Hello? Did I just make that into a real thing?
Yeah, you did. That was pretty deep.
Because I had no idea what I was saying when I started talking, and I just found it.
You're like, I surprised myself. I went into a...
By the way, isn't that pretty much every sentence with me? It's I have no idea, and then I find it. Meh, it's so irritating. I'm so tired of myself.
It's why I make you like step into the black hole.
Next week on Off Duty, while arresting a group of Navy sailors who were operating an illegal automotive chop shop, Ziva finds a severed head in the trunk of a recently stolen car. Ugh, Mondays, am I right? Abby matches the head to a Navy captain who died 4 months prior, sending the team on the hunt for a possible human chop shop and the captain's remaining body parts. Don't lose your head. It's season 3, episode 15, Head Case. Foof.